I'm now joined again by Nate Madden. He's a great friend of the Stephen Harriott Show and Catholic Vote, and he is the host of the Capitol Hill Brief over at CRTV. He does terrific work, and first of all, thank you very much for joining us again, Nate.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate being on.
So, first of all, what is going on?
I've been live blogging with me and Chris Pandolfo and John Miller and Jordan Schachtel and the whole crew. So we've been covering this thing all day. It is like where the news is. It's been exhausting, mentally exhausting, especially because the first 2 hours of it, I think we got through about 2 rounds of questioning.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
The question is directed to the witness.
And I have a point of order before he answers the question.
The point of order is not well taken until...
You don't know what the point of order is. You can't say it's not well taken.
The point of order, the witness will answer the question.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Let me continue.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. Gotti, do you remember
Parliamentary inquiry.
Parliamentary inquiry.
Parliamentary inquiry.
Chairman, point of parliamentary inquiry.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman's state is point of order.
Point of order.
It is not a point of order.
Point of order.
Point of order. Point of order. Point of order. Point of order. Point of order. Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
Second.
We spent the first 2 hours of the day in this hearing just watching Democrats come up with every parliamentary request and procedure and boondoggle they could find to try to keep Strzok's mouth closed as long as they possibly could. I mean, you know, they've done, you know, remember going back to like Benghazi and oversight hearings before that, we're used to Democrats trying to stop these sorts of oversight hearings, especially when it makes them or people associated with them look bad. This is a whole new tactic. They're just like throwing out every single stopgap thing you can do in Robert's Rules of Order to slow the thing up. But we finally got to questions sometime after lunch.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of wacky too. I mean, we've had everything. So I've had multiple Democratic members of Congress say that they shouldn't be investigating this, that they should be investigating child separation at the border as if there's something to investigate there. It's a policy precipitated by bad law that was amended and is now being remedied. I don't know where the investigation is there. But we've also just got a lot of other stuff going on. Luis Gutierrez, a Democrat from Illinois, said that the reason Republicans are investigating this matter, the reason they have Peter Strzrok, the infamous FBI texter of his mistress Lisa Page at the FBI, before Congress is because they want to destroy our democracy. So apparently, Congress exercising its constitutional oversight power over a creation of statute that's not mentioned in the Constitution is destroying our system. Meanwhile, not investigating and just ignoring the possibility that political animus of lifetime unelected bureaucrats that might have swayed the outcome of a free and fair election doesn't affect our system.
Right, and just to be clear, just give our viewers a little backstory or to refresh their memory in case they knew it and forgot. What we're talking about, of course, is Peter Strzrok is the FBI agent, not just an agent, right? He's highly placed. Am I right?
Oh yeah, no, he was at the highest levels of the FBI. He was on the Clinton email investigation team, and then he was on the initial Trump-Russia probe that started at the end of July 2016.
Correct, yeah.
And then he was initially on Mueller's special counsel team until we started seeing these texts between him and his mistress. And then, of course, like the public perception there was so terrible that he ended up getting fired because it made the rest of the team look bad. But yet,
and also his mistress, to be clear, it was also an FBI underling of his.
FBI lawyer. It was a colleague. Yeah. It was another highly placed government official at the FBI. Right. And these people were texting each other on their government phones. We have to have an insurance policy. We'll stop Trump. I'm at a Walmart in southern West Virginia, and you can smell the Trump support here.
Yeah. He's
chaotic and destabilizing. All these other things. I referred to people from Loudoun County, Virginia as hillbillies because of the absurd, it's absurd. If you've been to Loudoun County, I've never seen, it's far from hillbilly. But
what they're saying is, ew, people not from D.C.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's in Fairfax, right? So
right.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's the background on him. This hearing specifically, though, it's a look into, like you mentioned, those texts because they indicate what might have been, we don't know, a widespread environment of hostility toward a presidential candidate and perhaps support for another presidential candidate. This would be quite a scandal, wouldn't it? I mean, considering that this is a government body, the FBI, working on behalf of one party of the country. It's pretty creepy, right?
Right. And that's more what we get with the the Inspector General's report from Inspector General Horowitz that came out a few weeks ago, right? Mm-hmm. So that pretty much got buried by the whole family separation controversy, which, of course, before them was going on for months, and then became a huge controversy as soon as that Inspector General report dropped. The news, it was uncanny how well.
Right.
Anyway, so getting back to that kind of speaks more to the widespread bias at the agency. The hearing that we've seen so far today, because as you and I are recording this, it's still ongoing and we're still tracking it in the newsroom. It's mostly been on trying to get Strzok to answer for all the stuff that he's done so far, for all the stuff that he's texted, and just trying to peel back the layers and get him on record about what the timelines were versus the text versus the investigation, to try to draw out what exactly his bias was in the situation. That's really where it's gone. And also, stuff like, Mr. Strzok, what does Trump support smell like? Was one of my favorite moments from Chairman. Yeah.
What does Trump support smell like? That's very good. Go on. Sorry.
But that's what we've seen mostly today. And, of course, on the other side, you've had everything from softballs, where you had Congressman Hank Johnson just not even asking questions at one point, just reading the guy's FBI resume, where he's and you were on this investigation, you were on this investigation. Really, right. Just letting the guy read it, like reading the guy's resume for him on there, not even throwing him a softball question. There wasn't really a question.
Yeah, in other words, my point here is that this man is such a seasoned and wonderful professional and overlord that it would be impious for any of us to question.
Oh, exactly. This is, don't you understand? If we just carte blanche have any sort of doubt in our institutions, that's going to destroy democracy. There's never any question about whether or not the institutions were acting in a trustworthy manner in the first place, right? This is why we have an oversight committee. This is why it has oversight. No one asks about whether the activity itself was trustworthy.
So here's the thing. That gets to the core of something for me. What worries me is, this is the Trump supporter in me, right? This conspiracy theorist who's worried that there is a ruling class and that it needs to be interrupted. What worries me is that even that attitude on the part of the left and on the part of never-Trumpers as well is so creepy, because it sounds almost like they're saying, we have an understanding here. Don't look behind the curtain.
That's exactly what they're saying. Whether it's somebody on the far left or an institutionalist, I won't include the Bernie folks, because they actually want to tear down folks as much as the Trump folks when we talk about systemic problems here.
Bernie folks and Trump folks often get along.
Yeah, for that reason. But when you talk about the establishmentarianisms, the swampy people, it's just, you have one ruling class that comes in two different shades. That's the end of it. Whether, that's what the never-Trumpers jump on. You can't say bad things. We need to have never-ending war. We need to have a constant, constant military expenditures all over the globe. You can't question that. We know better than you. And then, of course, you turn around, we know better than you on this. We know better than you on that. There is that mentality. It's widespread here in D.C.
Well, one of the things that Strzok said really struck me, which was he said something to the effect of, I think that this hearing is nothing other than a notch in the belt of Putin, and another victory on the part of the enemies of our country who are trying to tear us down, which sounds, first of all, very Nixonian and paranoid and creepy. But I was listening to that and I was like, you know what, that just sounds run-of-the-mill Washington, D.C. leftist.
Yeah.
To any normal onlooker, that's exactly what it sounds like. But it amazes me, because in the swamp, when people hear that, they nod, yeah, that's the sort of thing I read in the New York Times. It doesn't sound off the wall.
Exactly.
But it's bizarre for an FBI agent to say, well, this hearing is just Putin. Putin's arms are so long that he's actually somehow benefiting from or arranging this hearing against me. He also said things like, he mentioned Trump's quote-unquote horrible behavior, which Gavin McInnes over at CRTV pointed out. Is that normal for an FBI agent to just matter-of-factly say candidate Trump's behavior was horrible and disgusting? That sounds like political punditry from the left. But to these swamp people, it sounds, oh no, that's just the way we talk. We have an understanding. Just don't worry about it.
Well, that's the thing. So federal employees they're of course allowed to have political opinions like everybody else, and it's a violation of the Hatch Act to screen for non-political appointments, to screen political views for non-political appointments, just to start that off. But simple fact of the matter is, whether, regardless of what their registered is, most people who work for the federal government or, big government, I'm not going to say most. Most of the people that I run into in my day-to-day life here in D.C. interacting with career bureaucrats, they are big government statists, whether they are the Republican brand of big government statist or they are the Democrat brand of big government statist, because they look who pays their checks,
Right.
Right.
For the past 8 years, especially.
But more to your question, yeah, this is political punditry. And honestly, no one is surprised. But this is where we get into that Strzok's whole point that, oh, yes, I have these strong opinions. And I tweeted about these strong opinions. And I tweeted about them in ways that I shouldn't. And I shouldn't have done it on a government phone. But that in no way affected how I did my job when investigating both major candidates for president of the United States, which, given the facts, is still hard to believe on its face.
It is, considering how outspoken he is. It's very hard to believe, very hard to swallow.
And something else that I want to point out, at one point
Sure.
when he had one of these loud, passionate outbursts, you didn't just hear applause from the onlookers, which you occasionally hear in testimony, very rarely. You saw applause from Democrats themselves, elected officials who are tasked with overseeing the FBI, which is a creation of statute.
And the proposition that is going on, that it might occur anywhere in the FBI, deeply corrodes what the FBI is in American society, the effectiveness of their mission, and it is deeply destructive.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion.
Yeah.
They, you can call them figurative cheerleaders. The Republicans have called these Democrats figurative cheerleaders for Strzok and the deep state and the FBI folks all along. They literally became cheerleaders the moment they started clapping.
They applauded the person whom they were supposed to be questioning as members of an oversight committee.
Yes, that's where we are.
Yeah, just pretty much unabashed partisanism and lack of decorum, which is funny because that's what they accuse Trump and Trump supporters of on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But, all right, well, thank you very much for your analysis and for your updates. Most of our viewers may not have even heard all of this yet. I'm going to let you get back to covering this, and I will edit and publish this as quickly as I can. In the meantime, I want to recommend that our viewers follow Nate Madden on social media and also over at CRTV, and follow the I almost said the White House Brief. That's that horrible other show. No, I meant the Capitol Hill Brief by Nate Madden, of which you're the host. So, and it's great stuff. Never miss an episode. Do follow that.
You flatter me. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much, Nate. I can't wait to have you on again.
Me either. Take care.